Mr. Taylor, can I talk to you for a moment?
Of course, Alex. What's on your mind?
I've been feeling really frustrated with my English lately. No matter how much I study, I just don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I'm starting to think that maybe the only way to really learn English is to move to an English-speaking country. What do you think?
I'm sorry to hear you're feeling this way, Alex. It's completely normal to feel stuck at times, but I assure you, moving to an English-speaking country isn't the only way to become fluent. There are many other ways to improve your English effectively. Let's talk about this in detail.
But isn't immersion the best way? I mean, if you're surrounded by the language all the time, you have to learn it, right?
Immersion can be a powerful tool, yes, but it's not the only path to fluency. Being surrounded by English speakers doesn't automatically mean you'll improve. It's about how you engage with the language, whether you're in an English-speaking country or not.
I see. But what about grammar? It's so confusing, and I feel like I'll never get it right unless I'm constantly hearing and using it in everyday situations.
Grammar can be challenging, but it's not something that can only be learned through immersion. It's important to study the rules and practice them, but don't stress over perfection. You can reinforce your understanding through reading, writing, and listening, even if you're not living in an English-speaking country.
So, are you saying that grammar isn't that important?
Not at all. Grammar is important, but it's one piece of the puzzle. It helps you construct sentences correctly and understand the structure of the language. However, it's just as important to focus on communication, being able to express yourself clearly, even if your grammar isn't perfect. Over time, your grammar will improve with consistent practice and exposure.
But how can I improve my speaking skills if I'm not talking to native speakers every day?
Speaking practice is essential, and while talking to native speakers can help, it's not the only way. You can practice with other learners, use language exchange apps, or even speak to yourself in English. Recording yourself and listening back can also be a great way to spot areas for improvement. It's about creating opportunities to use the language as much as possible.
I've tried speaking to myself, but it feels weird. Does that really help?
It might feel strange at first, but yes, it does help. It forces you to think in English, which is a critical step in becoming fluent. Over time, you'll start to notice improvements in your pronunciation, fluency, and confidence.
What about listening? Sometimes I feel like I understand nothing when I listen to native speakers. Should I just keep watching movies and listening to music?
Listening is crucial, and watching movies and listening to music are great ways to practice. Start with content that's a bit easier to understand, maybe with subtitles at first, and gradually move on to more challenging material. Also, try listening to different accents and speeds of speech. Podcasts, audiobooks, and news programs are excellent resources as well.
But sometimes I feel like I'm just not getting it. I watch movies, but I don't catch everything they're saying. Shouldn't I understand everything by now?
It's completely normal to not understand everything, especially in movies where the language can be fast and full of slang or idioms. The key is consistency and patience. Over time, you'll start to understand more and more. Focus on the progress you're making, not on what you don't understand yet.
I've been trying to read more in English, but I struggle with understanding everything. I keep looking up words in the dictionary, and it takes forever to get through a single page. Is that the right way to do it?
It's great that you're reading more. While it's important to understand the text, try not to look up every word. Focus on getting the general meaning first, and only look up words that are crucial to understanding the passage. Over time, you'll find that your vocabulary grows naturally, and you'll need the dictionary less and less.
But if I don't understand everything, how can I improve?
You'll improve by exposing yourself to the language regularly. Even if you don't understand everything right away, your brain is still absorbing the patterns, structures, and vocabulary. It's like building a puzzle, each piece you put together makes the whole picture clearer.
That makes sense. What about writing? I feel like my writing is awful, and I don't know how to get better at it.
Writing is a skill that improves with practice. Start by writing regularly, even if it's just a few sentences a day. You can keep a journal, write essays, or even try creative writing. Don't worry too much about mistakes at first, focus on getting your ideas down. Then, you can go back and edit for grammar and structure.
I'm afraid of making too many mistakes, though. Won't that just reinforce bad habits?
Making mistakes is a natural part of learning, and it's how you grow. The key is to learn from those mistakes. When you review your writing, identify the errors and understand why they happened. This process helps reinforce the correct usage and prevents bad habits from forming.
But what if I don't have anyone to correct my writing?
There are many online tools and resources that can help with that. Websites like Grammarly or Hemingway can point out errors and offer suggestions for improvement. Additionally, you can share your writing with classmates or participate in online communities where you can exchange feedback with others.
That's a good idea. But still, isn't it true that you can only really learn a language by being around people who speak it all the time?
It's a common belief, but it's not entirely true. While being around native speakers can help, what's more important is how actively you engage with the language. You can create an immersive environment for yourself by surrounding yourself with English through books, music, movies, and online interactions. Consistency and active engagement are what really drive progress.
I've heard that learning slang and idioms is important, but I don't hear them often. How can I learn them if I'm not in an English-speaking country?
Slang and idioms are indeed important for understanding conversational English. You can learn them through movies, TV shows, and online platforms like YouTube or social media, where people use more casual language. There are also websites and apps dedicated to teaching idioms and slang. The key is to pay attention to context and usage, and over time, you'll become more comfortable with them.
I see. But sometimes I feel like I'm not motivated enough. How can I stay motivated when progress seems so slow?
It's natural to feel that way, especially when learning a language can be a long journey. To stay motivated, set small, achievable goals for yourself, like learning a certain number of new words each week or completing a chapter of a book. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and remind yourself of why you're learning English in the first place. Finding ways to make learning fun, like watching a favorite TV show in English, can also help.
That's a good point. But what if I never become fluent?
Fluency is a journey, not a destination. It's important to remember that everyone progresses at their own pace. With consistent practice, patience, and the right strategies, you will improve. Even native speakers continue to learn and refine their language skills throughout their lives. The key is to keep going, even when it feels tough.
I guess I never thought about it that way. I've always felt like I needed to be perfect to be considered fluent.
Perfection isn't the goal, communication is. Fluency is about being able to express yourself and understand others effectively, even if you make mistakes along the way. Focus on your progress, not perfection, and remember that every bit of effort you put in brings you closer to your goal.
Thank you, Miss Taylor. This conversation has really helped me see things differently. I feel more confident now that I can improve my English, even without moving to an English-speaking country.
I'm glad to hear that, Alex. Remember, you have the tools and ability to succeed. Keep practicing, stay positive, and don't hesitate to reach out if you need more guidance. You're doing great.
Thanks, Miss Taylor. I'll keep working hard.
I know you will. Keep up the great work, Alex.